February 13th, the Big Meech home benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic. He names the list. Biggest boss Ricky Rozay just got word. Meech concert not happening tonight, but 305 is going down at the office. Meet us there. Bam. Yeah, that might be why when I stood next to Meech, your knees buckle. Your knees buckle. Put your back against the wall.
Big Meech is out here calling out Rick Ross for leaving him broke after promising him the world. And let's keep it real, Meech isn't just upset, he's furious. See, when Meech first linked up with Rick Ross, it wasn't just about the music. Rick Ross knew exactly what he was doing. Ross came in talking real big, promising Meech a new TV show, a massive budget, and even an entire concert to welcome him home. It all sounded like a dream at the time, but now, Ross is nowhere to be found. Rick Ross didn't deliver a single thing he promised. And now he's out here scrambling, and honestly, he should be, because if there's one thing we all know about Big Meech, it's this: he does not take betrayal lightly. And to make it even worse, 50 Cent has been on his neck nonstop ever since he joined forces with Rick Ross. The moment Big Meech connected with Rick Ross for that Welcome Home concert, 50 Cent immediately jumped on Instagram and started cooking. See, when Meech first got released, Ross had huge plans lined up. He hyped up this massive Welcome Home concert, something that was supposed to be a complete game changer. Big Meech was promised a cut of the ticket sales, and let's be honest, that could have been a serious bag. But guess what? That concert never even happened. At the very last minute, everything got shut down, and the reason? Supposedly, federal agents came through with official letters that forced them to cancel the whole event. That's when the rumors started flying. Because let's keep it real, who even has that kind of power? A lot of folks are saying it was 50 Cent pulling strings behind the scenes. And if that's true, that means he did it just to get back at Rick Ross. Now, 50 never confirmed he was behind it, but he sure didn't stay quiet either. When Boozy Badass mentioned the canceled concert during his Lad TV interview, 50 Cent jumped on Instagram and started clowning the whole situation. Hey, I'm just asking for a friend. Does this mean the show's not gonna happen? He wrote that with pure disrespect.
I'm at the Louis store. I'm like, what the I could have saved this.
And let's not forget, 50 Cent predicted this would happen. He said the whole thing was getting shut down before it even got announced, then turned right around and denied any involvement, like he wasn't sitting back, laughing at the whole disaster. But you know what's even worse? When everything completely fell apart and Big Meech was down bad, Rick Ross did nothing. He just stayed quiet, lurking in the shadows, like he'd been planning it all along, hoping to use Meech as a pawn in his own little war to get revenge on 50. Now recently, 50 Cent posted a picture of Tammy Cowens, who's been accused of being a federal informant. And if that wasn't enough, he dropped some alleged text messages between him and Tammy herself. In those messages, 50 straight up asks if Meech knew she was working with the feds while he was locked up. And what did she say? Yep, she even gave him more details. 50 Cent captioned the post, Tammy Cowens, the truth and nothing but the truth coming soon. And let's not forget, just last week, 50 was already coming for Meech, throwing out snitching allegations like confetti. He straight up wrote, listen to the words, big screech. You keep forgetting that you told Tammy Cowens to get your time cut. Sucker. And of course, he made sure to tag all his brands. That's classic 50. But here's where it gets even messier. It's not just 50 Cent saying this. Even Blue Da Vinci and Cuffy have stepped forward, claiming Big Meech is the reason they ended up behind bars. According to them, Meech used Tammy Cowens as a third-party informant. So this whole big screech thing, it's not just some wild rumor 50 made up for clout. People in the industry have been whispering about this for a long time, and now, it's starting to look like there's way more to this story than Meech wants to admit.
Have information on you and give it to Tammy so you could get caught up in it. How did that happen? So that means you got to go back to the movies.
Okay, so
Right, that's
Meech and Tammy was trying to get Suarez.
Oh, Meech and Tammy was trying to get Suarez.
Exactly. But when the government found out she was in contact with me, they switched the investigation toward me.
50 Cent also went ahead and dragged Lil Meech right into the crossfire. See, before all this drama exploded, 50 Cent was actually helping Lil Meech. Like, we're talking serious investment. He paid for Meech's acting classes, prepped him personally for his role in the BMF series, and even handled his business off the set. Remember when those rumors dropped about Lil Meech struggling with substance use? It was 50, in private, who sent him to rehab and covered all the costs. That's how deep the connection was.
I'm watching movies, I'm like, man, acting must just be reading lines off of paper, like something like this. And when I get there, like, hey, don't look at the paper. Imagine your mom and dad in a casket right now and you in a funeral.
But then, Big Meech switched sides, and the moment he started cozying up to Rick Ross, 50 Cent cut them all off. And he's not being quiet about it either. He straight up said he's discontinuing the BMF show, which is literally where Lil Meech makes his money. So now, both Meech and his son are looking at being broke. And if that wasn't enough, 50's been petty with the promotions too. Every time he posts anything related to BMF, he's been blurring or altering Lil Meech's face, like he's trying to erase him from existence. But after that Welcome Home concert fell apart, Rick Ross still wasn't done running his mouth. Instead of just admitting defeat, Ross started talking crazy again, this time claiming he was going to produce his own BMF show. And not just any show, but one with a bigger budget than 50's.
So look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film.
That was supposed to be Big Meech's Hail Mary. If Rick Ross had actually followed through, Meech could have landed a major payday. But just like everything else Ross promised, that show never happened. It was all talk. And here's the real kicker. 50 Cent owns the TV and film rights to the Black Mafia family story. That means Ross couldn't even legally pull this off without 50 having a say in it. So all that flexing, pointless. Meanwhile, Meech is still broke. 50 is still dragging him online. And to make it even worse, Rick Ross hasn't even tried to defend Big Meech. He was so loud when he was using Meech's name to go after 50. But now that the walls are closing in, silence. And let's keep it real, this is exactly why 50 Cent has clowned Rick Ross for years. Fif has always said that Ross only talks about him to stay relevant. Anytime Ross wants to trend, he's gotta mention 50's name. And at this point, it's looking real obvious. Ross jumped on the BMF wave just to get back at 50 asterisk.
Outside of mentioning me, when things get bad, you mention me. It gets covered further.
And most recently, out of nowhere, Rick Ross decided to take another shot at 50 Cent. But this time, he crossed a line. He brought up 50 Cent's late mother in a clip he posted on his Instagram story. Ross was going off, bragging about how he was the only person who ever effed 50 Cent up. He even dragged Tony Yayo into it, claiming that he himself warned 50 that he was making a huge mistake.
The only person that 50 Cent up, I ain't know that. I'm gonna be honest. Tony Yayo told 50 Cent himself, y'all could Google it.
Ross wasn't done though. He kept clowning Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda, saying they looked old and needed facials. But of course, Yayo responded. He said he's used to getting dragged into Fifth's beefs just because of their close friendship and unshakable loyalty. And let's be real, Yayo has always stood by 50. That's day one loyalty. And Ross, he just hates that.
Said, I wouldn't do that if I was, cause Tony Yayo know them niggas ain't got no money. Come on, man, look at Tony Yayo and Auntie.
Now Ross wasn't finished. After going way below the belt, he switched gears and started trolling 50 Cent's business moves. This time, he went after the G-Unit Studios project in Louisiana, claiming 50 couldn't finish it because he's broke, and that the banks won't even give him loans anymore.
Struggling making that G-Unit film studio out there in Louisiana where that cheapest land at. You thought you was gonna be able to do it. You thought you was gonna be able to get them loans, and it ain't. What's wrong? What's taking so long?
Now you know 50 Cent wasn't gonna let Rick Ross slide without a response. He straight up clowned Ross for being just a special guest on the Millennium Tour. Bow Wow and Omarion are co-headlining, along with Trey Songz, Boozy Badass, Plies, and the Yin Yang Twins also in the mix. And Ross, he's just a special guest, right alongside Ray J, Bobby V, and Pleasure P. Now for most people, this lineup is just a nostalgic throwback to the 2000s. But not for 50 Cent. 50 saw this as a clear sign that Rick Ross ain't the big boss he claims to be. Because let's be real, a so-called rap heavyweight being billed below Bow Wow, that's wild. At the end of the day, this whole situation started because Rick Ross just couldn't keep 50 Cent's name out of his mouth. But the one who really paid the price, Big Meech. Back in the real BNF days, Meech was ruthless. If you owed him something, he was coming to collect. And now, there are alleged whispers that Rick Ross is panicking behind the scenes. Allegedly, Ross knows that at any moment, Big Meech and the real BMF members could come knocking. Whether it's directly or indirectly, somebody's gonna want answers. And if that happens, well, let's just say Russ might have messed with the wrong one.
Bad along with the good and show us crew know how to be men, then this what you get. Everybody shining like new money. And ain't no other crew like this in the world, and there never will be another.
So after all that, the big question still remains. What's next? Is Rick Ross really panicking now that Big Meech might come collecting? Did he bite off more than he could chew by playing both sides? And do y'all think 50 Cent will ever let this go, or is he just getting started? I need to hear your thoughts on this mess, so drop your takes in the comments down below. And while you're at it, make sure to smash that like button, hit that subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update on this wild saga. And don't forget to check out the next video on your screen, because trust me, this is far from over.